Water for Elephants by Sara Gruen is a novel that lured me in with its promise of a richly textured historical setting and a story full of intrigue and emotion. As someone who enjoys historical fiction, particularly stories set in the early 20th century, the premise of a young man running away with a circus during the Great Depression was irresistible. The novel combines elements of romance, adventure, and the harsh realities of life during that era, and it does so with a backdrop that's both unique and captivating. The novel's greatest strength lies in its setting. Gruen meticulously brings to life the world of a traveling circus in the 1930s. From the very first pages, I was transported to a time when the circus was both a wonder and a mystery to the American public. The author's research into circus life is evident in the detailed descriptions of everything from the grueling setup and teardown of the big top to the complex social hierarchy within the circus community. I could almost smell the mix of sawdust and animal musk, hear the distant call of the ringmaster, and feel the tension in the air as performers and workers alike struggled to survive in a world that was often unforgiving. This setting, coupled with the historical context of the Great Depression, added a layer of authenticity and depth to the story. It's a world where people are desperate, where survival is uncertain, and where the circus offers both an escape and a trap. However, despite the immersive setting, the characters in Water for Elephants didn't fully live up to my expectations. Let's start with Jakob Jankowski, the protagonist. Jakob's journey begins with a tragedy. His parents are killed in a car accident just before he is set to graduate as a veterinarian from Cornell University. Devastated and directionless, Jakob impulsively jumps onto a train, which turns out to be the home of the Benzini brothers' most spectacular show on earth. Jakob is a likable character, especially in the early chapters. His innocence, coupled with his sudden thrust into a world so different from the academic life he knew, made him someone I could root for. His compassion for the animals, particularly Rosie the elephant, is one of the most endearing aspects of his character. However, as the story progresses, Jakob's character doesn't develop as much as I hoped. While he remains the moral center of the story, I found myself wanting more complexity in his decisions and interactions, especially as the challenges he faces grow more intense. Marlena, the beautiful star of the equestrian act and Jakob's love interest, was a character that left me feeling conflicted. On one hand, she is presented as a sympathetic figure trapped in an abusive marriage with August, the circus's animal trainer. However, Marlena's character is somewhat shallow. She is defined mostly by her beauty and kindness, but there isn't much more beneath the surface. Her relationship with Jakob, while central to the plot, felt a bit too predictable and lacked the emotional depth that could have made their love story more compelling. I found myself wishing Marlena had more agency and a more developed personality beyond being the object of Jakob's affection. August, the antagonist, is perhaps the most problematic character in the novel. His role as the cruel, mentally unstable husband who drives Marlena into Jakob's arms is almost a caricature. Gruen's depiction of August's mental illness is described as a paranoid schizophrenic feels like a convenient plot device rather than a well-rounded character study. This portrayal not only reduces August to a one-dimensional villain but also perpetuates harmful stereotypes about mental illness. His violence and instability serve to justify Jakob and Marlena's affair, but this felt too simplistic and heavy-handed. I couldn't fully buy into the idea that August's mental illness was the primary reason for his cruelty. It felt like a missed opportunity to explore a more nuanced and realistic portrayal of a troubled individual. The plot of Water for Elephants starts strong, drawing the reader into the world of the circus and Jacob's new life within it. The initial chapters, where Jacob learns the ropes of circus life and begins to bond with the animals, are some of the most engaging. The introduction of Rosie, the elephant who only understands polish, adds a delightful twist. Rosie's interactions with Jacob are filled with humor, warmth, and a touch of magic. These moments where the bond between human and animal is highlighted are some of the book's best. However, as the story progresses, the plot begins to lose its momentum. What starts as an intriguing tale of survival and adaptation in a harsh environment gradually shifts towards a more conventional romance. The love story between Jacob and Marlena takes center stage, but it doesn't feel as compelling as the other elements of the book. Their romance, while sweet, follows a predictable path. The young, kind-hearted man falls for the beautiful but trapped woman, and together they must overcome the obstacles posed by her violent husband. This storyline is one we've seen many times before, and in Water for Elephants, it doesn't offer much in the way of new insights or emotional depth. The latter part of the novel, where the plot accelerates with dramatic events, fights, stampedes, and even murder, feels a bit over the top. The melodrama in these chapters detracts from the more grounded and realistic aspects of the story. The climactic scene, where Rosie the elephant kills August during a chaotic stampede, is meant to be shocking and cathartic, but it left me feeling somewhat unsatisfied. The resolution felt too neat and too reliant on dramatic tropes rather than the organic development of the story. The novel ends on a surprisingly upbeat note, with Jacob and Marlena living happily ever after with their menagerie of circus animals. While this conclusion may be satisfying to some, it felt a bit too convenient for me, especially given the gritty and often brutal reality of the world Gruen had created. The contrast between the harshness of the circus life and the fairy tale ending was jarring, and I found myself wishing for a more nuanced resolution that acknowledged the complexities of the characters' situations. One of the central themes of Water for Elephants is the treatment of animals, both in the circus and beyond. Gruen's portrayal of the cruelty that animals endure in circuses is powerful and unsettling. These scenes are difficult to read, but they are necessary to highlight the darker side of the entertainment industry during that era. Jacob's compassion for the animals and his determination to care for them, even in the face of opposition, is one of the more compelling aspects of his character. This theme resonates strongly throughout the novel and serves as a reminder of the importance of empathy and kindness, not just toward other people but toward all living beings. Another theme that stands out is the reflection on aging and memory. The chapters that focus on the elderly Jacob in a nursing home are poignant and filled with a quiet melancholy. Gruen captures the frustration and sadness of growing old, of being forgotten by family and society, and of clinging to the memories that defined one's youth. These sections of the novel are some of the most moving, as they explore the inevitability of aging and the way our past continues to shape us, even in our final years. However, the novel's handling of other themes, such as mental illness and domestic abuse, is less successful. The portrayal of August's schizophrenia feels more like a plot device than a thoughtful exploration of the condition. Similarly, the depiction of Marlena's abusive marriage is somewhat shallow, focusing more on how it serves the plot than on a deeper understanding of the complexities of such relationships. In the end, Water for Elephants is a novel that I have mixed feelings about. On the one hand, it offers an immersive and richly detailed setting, a touching bond between a man and an elephant, and a poignant reflection on aging and memory. These elements make the novel worth reading. especially for those who are drawn to historical fiction with a unique backdrop. On the other hand, the novel is let down by its underdeveloped characters, predictable romance, and reliance on melodrama. While the book had the potential to be a powerful and emotionally resonant story, it ultimately falls short in some key areas. The result is a novel that, while enjoyable in parts, didn't quite live up to my expectations. If you are looking for a light, engaging read with a strong sense of time and place, Water for Elephants might be worth picking up. Just be prepared for a story that, while rich in atmosphere, may not fully deliver on its promises, and if you are ready to step into the world of the Benzini brothers' circus, filled with romance, adventure, and the bonds between man and beast, you can grab your copy of Water for Elephants through the link in the description box. After all, sometimes it's the imperfect stories that stay with us the longest.